Hi everyone, good morning and welcome to another one of our University Life webinars as part of this series. Today we are going to be looking at how to navigate your first graduate job. So this webinar is going to provide you with the best tools and practices of the professional world, as well as guidance on applying practical and soft skills that you've learned at university. And we're also throwing in some extra tips like how to dress on a budget and decoding those business acronyms. But as you can see today, I'm not alone. As always, I'm joined by a wonderful host. Wonderful host. That's me, a wonderful panel of people who are going to share their insights with me today on this topic. So I first of all want to hand over to Jackie from Northumbria Uni. Jackie, do you want to do a little introduction?
Yes, hi everyone. Lovely to meet you all. Thanks for the intro, Louise. My name's Jackie Darwood and I work in the Graduate Futures Service at Northumbria University. And my role is predominantly to work with organisations that are looking to recruit graduates. But I do interact with our graduates and students as well. So really nice to have an audience. Thanks, Louise.
Thanks, Jackie. And Jackie is also a parent, so she's definitely going to be able to provide us with some insider information on how to prep for a grad job through the eyes of a parent as well. So I'm sure you've got a lot of tips for us as well, Jackie. So thank you for joining me today. And you may recognise her. She is becoming quite famous on this webinar series now, but we're joined by Sidra. Sidra, do you want to introduce yourself to those that may not have seen you on a previous one?
Hi guys, my name is Sidra Iftikhar. I'm a management trainee at Enterprise Mobility.
Thank you so much, Sidra. And Sidra's just doing her graduate scheme with us, so she's definitely going to be able to provide us, again, some great insider information on what it's actually like on a graduate scheme, because if you've not done one before, you're not quite sure what to expect. So she's definitely going to be able to provide some great info. So thank you so much for joining us, both of you. And my name is Louise Taylor. I am a talent acquisition marketing specialist with Enterprise Mobility, and I'm going to be your host for today. So we've got a lot to get through, so we're just going to jump straight into it. And this morning we are starting off with skills. Also, I should say this is an interactive webinar, so please make sure that you are popping any questions in the chat or on the live stream wherever you're watching us, and our team will pop those into Zoom so we can see them, and we'll go for any questions at the end as well. So skills, that is the first thing that we're looking at today. You have skills, you might not know exactly what they are, you might know what your strengths are, you might know what your weaknesses are, you might be really self-aware, which is an amazing skill to have. But for those of you who maybe aren't quite sure what your skills are or how to find out what they are and how to then apply them to the workplace, this first section is going to be for you. So starting off with some ways that you can help recognise these skills. The first thing is a SWOT analysis, which I'm sure everyone on the call has probably heard of in some way or another. But for those of you that don't, it stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And this is a way of you analysing yourself to see what you would place in those categories. And it's a really nice exercise for you to be able to become a bit more self-aware about what those skills are, and again, how you can apply them, but more importantly, how you develop those skills that maybe you do see as a bit of an opportunity or potentially even a threat. This is something that I do with all of my mentees that I have across the business, and it's just a really great starting place to sort of find out what those are and then go from there. The second one is feedback sessions. So I'm going to come to the panel on these points in a moment, but this is having time with anybody whose opinion is really, valuable to you. So that might be your mentor, it might be the careers team at university, it might be your academics or your module leaders, or even if you're doing some part-time work at the moment, or, if you're in a full-time position or volunteering, gaining some feedback from your employer. Sometimes you can actually be a little bit blind to your strengths and weaknesses, or you might think you might be really good at something, but actually from a third party perspective, maybe there are things that you could improve on. And having someone to give you feedback can help you to recognize those and then again work on developing those skills. And the final thing on this list here is a skills health check, which is actually something that I've only just recently found out about. It's on the government website. And it's essentially a load of activities and quizzes that you can fill out, and it basically like a personality test essentially. And it helps you explore your skills, your interests, your motivations, And it also actually at the end helps you to find what jobs suit those skills that have, come out at the end of that quiz. So that's a really great one. If you're really at the start, you don't have a clue what your strengths and weaknesses are, going on the government website and just typing in skills health check can really help you find that baseline. So for the first time today, I'm going to come to our panel. And Jackie, I'm going to first of all come to you just from a university perspective. Are there any sort of services that the university offers that can help students gain a little bit of that feedback?
Yes, absolutely. And Northumbria University won't be alone in this. All higher education institutions have really brilliant careers services. And it's funny because you don't often think to access those careers services until you set to graduate. It depends, I guess, how proactive you've been since day one with thinking about life after uni. So yeah, at Northumbria, we have dedicated set of careers advisors who are all very experienced. They each have different caseloads as well. So there will be a careers advisor that will probably have expertise in one of the areas you think you might want to go in. But if not, we've got generalist careers advisors as well. So you'll have the opportunity to book careers appointments. You can do that online or in person. And that could be anything from exploring career options, what sectors might be open to you. It might be a CV workshop, it could be interview skills. So, yeah, you will have a dedicated opportunity to have one-to-one with a careers advisor. But if you'd rather attend a workshop or an event where you're in a group environment, so a one-to-many events, you can join all sorts of workshops as well. Sometimes we co-host those. I know, Louise, you've helped us in the past when we've delivered skills sessions to students. So there's a whole raft of things. And in terms of feedback as well, I would say don't under sort of play the importance of speaking to some of your peers as well. So talk to your student cohorts on your degree program and speak to academics and personal tutors as well, because they'll be able to give you insight from a different angle. So yeah, in terms of the career services, continue to reach out. And Northumbria will probably not be alone with this, but we have a graduate careers club too. So once you've graduated, Northumbria students can still continue to access careers services for up to 5 years after they graduate. So if you haven't found that graduate job or not sure when you graduate what you want to do, you can maintain contact and continue to access all of the opportunities that you would have access to as a student. And that will include things like accessing the jobs online site, which is the jobs portal. It's really important that when you graduate, you update your contact details with the university because your academic email address will cease to exist. But yeah, make sure you reach out. I always think part of your tuition fees, what you're paying for, your value for money at university, is all of these extra things that you need to take advantage of. So yeah, 100% make sure you are using and abusing your careers teams at the university.
Thanks, Jackie. And as Jackie mentioned, that is, that's a UK-wide thing. Universities will offer a lot of these services, and not enough students use those services that are available to them. And there's some amazing teams there that are dedicated to help you develop those skills and get ready for the workplace. That's a great point about the alumni network as well, Jackie. A lot of universities, if not all of them, will have some sort of alumni network that you can tap into, where if you are struggling to find that first graduate job, there's a team there to help assist you even once you've left the university. So thank you so much, Jackie. That's really insightful. And coming to you, Sidra, you have had a huge life change over the past year, starting your first graduate job. What have you done in terms of sort of analysing your skills and how they apply to the workplace?
I mean, firstly, like Jackie said, you use the people at university. I did. I remember going to the careers advisor and I was like, help me out. What can I do? And she was like, okay, show me your CV. And I showed her my CV and she's like, okay, firstly, that looks so outdated. Why have you got the like time? I think it's Times New Roman, the really old fashioned. She's like, why have you used that? Like we're in 2022, I think it was then. And she's like, yeah, you need a better font. You need to sort of judge up your CV. So even if you can't do the sort of SWOT analysis to yourself, you've got people like that available there to help you. Because I think that was definitely one of my weaknesses, was not having an outdated CV. And she actually did go through a SWOT analysis with me. She's like, okay, these are your strengths, these are your weaknesses when you are applying for roles. You need to work on this. And yeah, I think definitely use the people around you because they're there to help you out. In terms of feedback sessions during whilst I was applying for jobs, if I didn't get the role or if I wasn't offered a role, I'd always ask for feedback. That was like one of my biggest things, just because you want to know so you can work on it for the next one. So that's definitely one thing I'd say, is just always ask for feedback, or even if they give it to you in a note, just always take it into consideration, because these people, they want you to know where you've sort of not gone wrong essentially, but what they were looking for and what you didn't have, and you can work on it. So yeah, they're definitely very useful.
That's a great point. I know you're laughing, but strengths and weaknesses doesn't, and your skills doesn't have to be all personal soft skills. It can be things practical, like having an outdated CV. So that's a really great point. And, Sidri, you've been on our graduate scheme for, what is it, just over a year now, I think?
A year and a few weeks.
Yeah. How, if you think back to your first day, how has your skill set developed from the first day you walked in the door to where you were standing now? How have you developed those skills?
Well, I can't even begin, because in every aspect, I think that my skill set has increased. Confidence as well, which is a big one. I'm not saying I didn't have confidence before, but because whilst working here, you have to deal with people, you're communicating. It's quite a social job. And just that confidence has increased, regardless of who you're speaking to, whether it's a customer, a vendor, anyone, that confidence has definitely increased. Even computer skills, just a lot of things that I just wasn't aware of, I didn't know how to use. I've definitely sort of built that skill set now. But yeah.
Amazing. That's great to hear. And I'm so glad that you've had such a good experience. And I think for all of you watching on the call, you don't have to go into your first graduate job a perfect individual. Nobody is perfect. And a graduate job, the aim of that is to help develop you, and it's to help develop the existing skill set that you already have. And as Sidra said, she went in super unconfident, and she's blossomed into a beautiful butterfly throughout the duration.
Yeah, because when I first walked in, I felt like I was like a baby mouse sort of thing. You don't know anything, and the more you sort of get on, month turns into 3 months, and the more sort of time you spend with the people around you, the more they teach you, and the more sort of and you get more confident in your job as well. You kind of like, you go in and you don't think, okay, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Like, you're confident with how you speak to people, how you present things, and yeah, it's a big thing.
I think
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to interrupt there, and echoing everything Sidra said as well. It's so important, I think, to be your authentic self. So don't try and be someone that you're not because you think that's the box you've got to fill. It's so clear as time, evolves if you've kind of started on a platform where you're not being your authentic self. So yeah, embrace who you are and actually think about all the things. So hopefully you will be successful and you'll find a graduate job if that's what your ultimate aim is when you graduate. Not everyone wants to go straight into a graduate role, but yeah, embrace who you are, be proud of who you are. What you won't realize, or lots of you will, but some of you won't realize what a journey you've come on and navigating your way through the higher education journey and 3 or 4 years of your degree will put you in a really good position. So there will be lots of people and seeking feedback to tease out some of those things that make you slightly different. Even if you've not had a job or part-time work, you might have been heavily involved in sports societies, or you might help outside of university life. You might help with football clubs. You might do mentoring. You might do tutoring. There's all sorts of things that you might not necessarily see as being relevant. And by speaking to the key connections you have around you. And sometimes people are very fortunate that they've got very strong family networks and they can have conversations with parents or siblings. Not everyone has, those natural networks. So, do reach out to anyone that has played some influence or role in your life that's got you to the point that you're at. Even if you're reaching back out to college or school or sixth form tutors to just sense check with them how you've evolved over the last 3 years since you've been at university. It's all such valuable feedback. And you will, once you start to do that SWOT analysis piece, you'll begin to build a really, really strong picture of where you are, particularly your strengths. And not, when I speak to employers in my role who are looking to recruit our graduates, they know that they're not getting the finished article. We know that students might not have had opportunities to flourish yet, but it's the potential they're looking for. It's the mirroring values, the appetite to join an organization. So yeah, be proud of everything you've achieved to get you to this point, I guess, and embrace that you will have strengths. So yeah, tease them out. Either you, as Louise said, you might be very self-aware already, but if you're not, use the people around you to kind of give you some insight.
Great point, Jackie. Thank you. Thank you so much for your input on that. We're only on the first slide and we're already providing some great advice. So thank you so much, both of you. And that was the first section all about skill development. And just going on from that conversation we've had, it's your first day, you're there at your graduate job. I still remember my first day at Enterprise. I walked in with a notepad, a pen, a full three-piece suit, and I think I had a full notepad finished by the end of the first day. And I just think I wrote verbatim what every single person was telling me. And I just remember being so unbelievably nervous. So we've got some general tips to help you ace your first day, but then again, I'll be coming to the panel to get their advice as well. These are all pretty straightforward, but you'd be surprised as how many of these points people forget or don't recognize the importance of. So the first one is be ready for the day. Make sure that you have the location of where you're going to, if that is a head office for some training, or if that is straight to wherever it is, the offices that you're going to be working. Make sure that you know what the parking situation is. Make sure you know how much time it's going to take for you to get there. Give yourself an extra 15 minutes, half an hour wiggle room. Make sure that you're dressed appropriately, that you've reached out to the people that you're speaking with that day to get to know them and know who it is that you're meeting. So just in general, be ready for the day. And there's a lot of little things that people forget about, like that parking thing. They might just assume that they're going to get to an office and that's going to be readily available for them. It might be that you have to park a little bit further away and walk in, meaning you might be late for your first day. So just make sure that the night before you're taking time to prepare and get ready so that you can go in and be your best self. Handshakes and smiles really go a long way. I worked in management for a while before coming into this role, and there was nothing worse than someone that would just come in and sort of sit in the corner of the room and not really introduce themselves. And that's not a confidence piece. That's more so just, doing the best thing and introducing yourself to those that are going to be future colleagues. So go in, lots of handshakes, smile at everybody, look friendly, presentable. Third one, maybe a bit difficult if you're like me, you're not very technology inclined, but try and make friends with whatever technology it is. It might be that you're working from home. That's really popular now. And it might be that you are given a home laptop or headsets or webcams or things that you need to set up. Again, I would make sure that you get all that done the night before so that when you log in the morning, you're there, you're ready to start. You're not taking an hour and a half in the morning to get set up. So make friends with whatever technology it is that you're given, but also anything that you've shown on your first day as well. Number 4, my favorite thing ever, get organized. I'm an extremely organized person. I've got lists for my lists. So make sure that you're getting organized. Again, it all comes into that preparation piece and getting ready for the day. And don't have that as something that you just do in the first week. Try and stay organized throughout the duration of your graduate job or wherever it is that you choose to be. It can be quite difficult if you're not naturally a very organized person, but just try and focus on developing that skill because it is a really important thing for the professional workplace. And finally, I'm not going to touch on this too much because our second section, spoiler alert, is all about building a professional network. But the real life kind, not the social networking, not the Instagram, not the LinkedIn, not the Snapchat. The actual having to speak to a live human being in person is something that you are probably going to encounter at some point in your first graduate job. So just be prepared and ready for that as well. Sidra, I'm going to come back to you on this. I'm sure that you can take us back to your first day as a graduate trainee. What advice do you have for those watching on how they can really make the most out of their first day?
God. My first day, I was so nervous. I mean, the night before, I don't think I slept, or I just didn't sleep a lot because I was just so nervous. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to expect. I don't know my team, because obviously you've not met anyone at that point, and you're just anxious. But I remember speaking to my mom, and she was like, calm down. You just need like good people around you. She's like, calm down. It's not like you're overthinking it way too much. And like you said, be ready for the day. I was a little bit excessive with that. Well, I think it's a bit excessive. Sort of like 2 days before I had to come in, I got my mum and my sister in the car and I was like, okay, we're going to Derby and we're going to find the branch. just before I go in on Monday because I don't want to get lost and I want to make sure I know where it is. So I got them in the car and we we actually drove around and I made sure, okay, there's parking there, I'm safe. So be as prepared as you can, do whatever you can to make sure that you're not anxious on the day. And for me, that I did that. And to some people that might be excessive, but I knew if I looked beforehand, I kind of knew where it was. I knew the route, and it just made me feel a little bit less stressed on the day because I knew where it was. Handshakes and smiles. When I walked in, because I actually came in a little bit earlier, so I think they were expecting me at like 9 on the dot. But actually, I think I got in at like half 8. So I walked in, and I think they thought that I was a customer. So they're like, "Oh yeah, hello, how can we help?" And I was like, "Hi guys, it's my first day," and they were like, "Oh my god," and you know, they are sort of expecting you, so don't be nervous because they are happy to see you. When I walked in, they were like, "Oh my gosh, hello!" Everyone came up to me. I hand shook everybody, and you sort of get to know people. Keep an open mind. They're there to help you out. They're there to teach you. So sort of calm down before you get in. Friends with technology. I think for myself, because of the system that we use, it is very complicated to like a newbie. As soon as you sit there, you just think, whoa, like all of these acronyms, all of these like different systems, different logins, different passwords. But for me, what I did was I had a notepad. I wrote every single little thing down, starting from passwords to the acronyms, everything that I could write down, I did write down. Yeah, and network. That was a really big one. Oh, actually, we're going to speak about it in the next slide.
Yeah, we'll hold that. That can be a little teaser into the next section. But some great advice there, Sidra. And I love that you actually did a drive-by of the branch to check the parking. That doesn't surprise me that you did that at all. And I would do the exact same thing, and I love it.
I was so nervous. And my mum and my sister were like, "Okay, yeah, let's go. Like, we'll go with you, calm down, check the place out." And honestly, it did help me out because I was a lot more calm on the day because I was like, "Yeah, okay, I know exactly where I'm going."
Some great advice, Sidra. Thank you. And you've done so well over the last year as well. So clearly you did something right on your first day because you've been doing a fab job. And Jackie, not only have you had a wonderful career, but you've also got children that are approaching their first graduate job. Do you have any advice for those watching?
Yeah, so this is really interesting because actually, before you've just positioned it that way, I was going to put my parent hat on when I answered this question, and it's really funny, Sidra, because my eldest she's not in a graduate job yet, but she's organized work experience and things for herself away from she's living away at university, and one of the things that I said is before she started her work experience, go the weekend before, do a drive-by, find out where you're going, make sure you know, check the parking. So it might seem over the top, but things like that are really important. And actually, as well, technology now means that you can set, your route planner to see what traffic delays you might get. So if you're doing a drive-by at 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, the journey's probably going to be slightly different on Monday morning at 7:30. So make sure you are factoring in, you might know where to go, but what might the implications be if you're stuck in traffic? And I did just notice one of the questions that dropped in the chat was about what about first day nerves? And actually, nerves can be a really, really good thing. And I would say if you get giddy with nerves and it kind of distracts you from when you're meeting people the first time and you're giving all sorts of names and lots of people are keen to meet you, you're the new starter. That's fine if you've kind of like got a little bit nervous. Just be very honest about that. People will want you to do well. They'll want you to succeed. The fact that you've had a job offer will mean that they're excited to have you joining the team. So, don't be afraid to be humble and say, I'm really sorry. I'm actually really nervous. And you have just introduced yourself, but I've forgotten your name. Would you mind just letting me know again? That's fine. Don't do that many times. If you keep having to say, I'm really sorry, I forgot your name again. But that get organized piece is so important. I think when I was preparing just to what points I might be able to give today, one of my biggest number ones is just be organized. It might not naturally be there. Dress codes as well is an interesting one. Have a think and be upfront and ask in advance what's the expected dress code on the day. Some workplaces are very corporate. And you will be expected to wear, a suit or something that's very smart. If you're more perhaps on the creative side, on the agency side, if you turned up in a suit and everyone else is in there in, very relaxed jeans, trainers, you might stand out like a sore thumb. So it's fine to ask in advance what the expected dress code is if you haven't had the opportunity to do a site visit and kind of gauge that for yourself. Um, So yeah, technology wise, again, I'm sure that most of the audience are much more digital savvy than me. But yeah, make sure you kind of are noting down things like logins, passwords, yeah, bits like that. And actually, I'm going to jump in because I've just seen a question about techniques to remember names on the day. I went to a really, really interesting, as part of my job, networking session that was run down at the American Embassy in London, which was phenomenal. And in terms of like memory recall, if you can see, so like I'll use a silly example, like Louise is on the screen now. Louise is just so lovely. Every time we meet, we have really, so I might remember her as lovely Louise. So you've got an LL. So examples like that, that's a bit cheesy as an example. I appreciate that. But if someone is it has told you that they, when they meet you, I'm Jackie, I really like running, then in your head, associate something where you think of me as a runner. So it might be that you kind of go, actually, do you know what? Jackie running, Great North Run, or if you're a runner. So use something in your head that makes a connection between that person. It's something that you'll develop as a skill as time goes on. But initially, if you've forgotten someone's name, there's nothing worse than just pretending and then kind of, walking away thinking, I've got no idea. Just say, I'm really sorry you did give me a name, but I was a little bit nervous. I didn't pay attention. But yes.
Thanks, Jackie. And I like my acronym, but I don't think it's cheesy at all. I'd like to Louise. Thank you. And we've got a couple of questions in the chat. I am going to just answer one now because I think it's super relevant. And then the other one I'm going to wait until the end. But any questions about dress code, location, what to prep for the day? You should have a recruiter that you've been in contact with throughout your application process of whatever it is that you've applied for. They'll probably be your first port of call as to who you ask those questions to. So maybe sort of a week in advance to your first day, just drop whoever it is that did your interview. If obviously they work at the same company and aren't part of an agency. Or likely you will have been given the manager's details of the office that it is that you're going to be starting in. So drop them a message and see if they can help give some guidance on what the dress code or any other questions you have. But ideally, your point of contact with that would be your recruitment or talent acquisition professional first. If they aren't available, hopefully you've been given the contact details for management and they can provide some insight into that. So thank you both so much. Some really great points there. Hopefully, if anyone on the call has a first day at their new grad job coming up soon, best of luck. I'm sure you'll absolutely smash whatever it is that you're doing and that these tips have helped you get a little bit more ready for your first day. So we said that we were going to go on to building a professional network. So we've got 6 tips here to just really help you make the most out of that network that you are going to get at your first graduate job. You're going to meet so many people, all of them different levels of importance. And we've got a couple of tips here that are just going to really help you maximize what it is that you get out of those networks. So the first one, say hello to everyone and anyone. If you're super extroverted like me and will speak to anybody, even a brick wall, that's probably a little bit easier. But just try and go in on your first day as friendly and as open and warm as possible and say hello to everybody. We're not saying that you have to sit there and have a full 10-15 minute discussion on each other's life history, but just say hello, introduce yourself, and that really gives people a lasting impression of you rather than you going in and sitting yourself in the corner of the room quietly. Second one, have a LinkedIn profile. I'm not going to touch on this too much because we've got loads of webinars where we've covered this in a lot more detail on our YouTube channel. But just make sure that going into a graduate job, and I would argue even before you start applying for a graduate job, make sure that you have a LinkedIn profile that is up and running, that is all up to date with your work history, your skill set, your bio, everything on there that's really going to help an employer see who you are and what you do. A LinkedIn profile can quite often be used as almost like a secondary CV, really. So it's a great thing to have prepared and ready when you go into an application process. But not only that, it helps your colleagues and those that you are going to go and meet on your first graduate day do a little bit of research into you as well and see what you've been up to. And that quite often just helps open that avenue for conversation as well. Number 3 is get involved in networking events, whether these be mandatory, optional. Please make sure to take on board every opportunity that comes your way in terms of a networking event. I mean, at Enterprise Mobility, we do so many different things, not just for events like International Women's Day and Black History Month, but we also just do general networking events with our branches and our areas each month. And most employers will be very similar with that. They will offer some form of networking opportunity, whether that be virtual or in person. So just make sure that you are RSVPing yes to those, because it is a great opportunity for you to expand that network. Number 4 is to connect with people in different departments. Again, when you go to these networking opportunities, it's not necessarily going to be filled with just people of the same level as you. It might be that you have people from marketing, HR, accounts, management. There's loads of opportunities for you there to network with people in different departments. And again, that creates a really healthy first impression, which later down the line, it might be that this person is interviewing you, or you're wanting to be part of this person's team, and they've already met you and they've got that great lasting impression. So make sure to connect with people in those different departments. Our second to last point is our employee resource group. So again, at Enterprise, we have groups for every diversity strand. So for example, race and religion, gender, LGBTQ+, family, disability. And we really urge our employees to get involved with these ERGs so that they can, again, make a network and help build that community. Most workplaces will be the same, and they'll offer some sort of employee resource groups there that really help you to network with other people who maybe are very similar to you, or other people wanting to learn more. And finally, I am extroverted, but I normally do hate big networking events. However, I go to them because even though inside I might be screaming, it is a great opportunity to meet some amazing people that will really end up helping you further your career. And always the 5, 10, 15 minutes at the start of a big corporate event are quite overwhelming. But once you get settled into it and you start chatting, it's always a really great, fun experience and a great chance for you to meet some people within the industry. So I know I've rattled through them, but Jackie, I'm going to come to you first on this one. Obviously, you have, as I mentioned before, you've done really well in your career. You've built a really great professional network. Do you want to offer any advice on how our viewers can do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll pick up on your last point there about networking and positioning, that you're an extrovert. And actually, there's often a misconception that you have to be an extrovert to be good at networking, and you have to have the confidence. The majority of people that go to any networking events are nervous when they go into the room, because you have that fear of walking into the room, maybe grabbing a water or a coffee, and then just that dread of how am I going to approach someone? There's a group talking over there. Everyone has that same feeling. So one of the best bits of advice I got given when I first started going to lots of networking events in my job is give someone an opportunity to talk about themselves and they will love it. So all you need to do in that scenario is to be brave. Go over to a group and say, "Hi, I'm Jackie. I work at Northumbria University. I'd really love to hear about you and what you do." And it might be an internal networking event, so it might be something at the organization you're working at, or it might be an opportunity for you to go along and network with potential recruiters and employers. So be very kind of like position who you are, but then just hand the baton over, because people like to talk about themselves. If someone came to you in a networking event and you were stood there and said, tell me about yourself, what is it that you do? You can already tell them your name, what degree you've studied, where you've been at university, if you've done a placement, if you've done any work experience, what you'd like to get. I think one of the most important things as well, if possible, is at a networking event, if you've got an idea who might be there, try and identify in advance who you might want to speak to. Obviously, if they're on LinkedIn and you've already got your LinkedIn profile, you'll be able to know what they look like as well. So sometimes networking events, you'll get sent an attendee list, so people that have registered to go. So have an idea in your head who you might want to speak to. The other really important thing is to give that person your full attention while you're speaking to them, because there is nothing worse in terms of how it makes you feel if you're at a networking event and someone is in front of you, but they're looking over your shoulder to see who else might be in the room. So give them your undivided attention for the duration of that time. And then quite often, feedback from students that we do workshops with will say, yeah, but what if you get stuck with someone and then you can't get away? I can't keep saying, I'm sorry, I just need to go and and use the facilities, because you don't need to use the facilities 5 times in an hour. It's fine to say it's been really, really good to talk to you. There's a couple of other people I just wanted to catch up with. So thanks for your time, and connect with those people on LinkedIn as well. If you're meeting someone, that's your opportunity to start to build your network. And people expect that now. It used to be, well, I'm quite old now, but back in the day, you would give someone a business card. Business cards definitely exist still, but generally at networking events now, people might even connect there and then digitally using the very cool QR code thing that you can use on LinkedIn. So, don't be afraid to be bold and say, I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. And then afterwards, if you haven't got a graduate job, you can reach out and you can message them and you can say, it was really great to meet you. I'd love to keep in touch. And once you're in their network, then you have access to, wider networks as well. So everyone has fear and dread of networking. And you don't have to be an extrovert to network either. So yeah, have confidence in your ability. And if you're nervous, bat it back to someone else. Say, introduce yourself and then say, I'd love to hear about you and what you do. And then you can kind of breathe and compose and hopefully listen and retain what they're telling you.
Some great points there, Jackie. Thank you. And I think find me one person that really, really enjoys the thought of a networking event, and I'd love to speak with them, because although that you might really, really enjoy it once you've been there for a while, the initial thought and the first time you step in that room, like you say, and there's so many people there, it can be quite overwhelming. But I got to do networking a lot for my job, and I've got a lot more comfortable over the years taking on board what Jackie said there, of just going up to people. And I think as you get older as well, the more confident you get in that everybody is in the same boat. And yes, there might be a couple of people in that room that know each other. They might be colleagues or, vaguely have mutual friends. But the majority of people in that room have come on their own as well. So they're probably looking forward to having someone brave enough to come up and approach them and start that conversation. So yeah, just go out of your comfort zone a little bit and attend these networking events, because as Jackie said, they're really invaluable for really helping that professional development. And Sidra, I know that you've had a lot of opportunities to do some networking at Enterprise, some of which we've been at together, which has been really nice. Do you want to tell people watching some of the things that you've been involved in?
Oh, there's so many. I've been to a few race and religion, a few women in rental, a few universities. I'm actually going to university tomorrow as well. So there's always, there's always opportunity to network at Enterprise. I remember going to like my first like race and religion. I thought, gosh, I don't know anybody here, and you will be nervous. And I kind of walked in and I was like, oh God. But I sat down and I was like, okay, I need to talk to someone. Like I kind of forced myself. I have to talk to someone, because I can't just sit here like a quiet person. I was like, I have to push myself out my comfort zone. But sometimes you kind of have to do that to yourself, because if you're not going to do it for yourself, then who is? That's how I always say it to myself anyways, because if you're not going to push yourself, no one else will. But I sat down, I kind of spoke to people, and everyone is the same as you. You will realize that once you get there. You can kind of catch the vibe of people. Everyone is the same as you. And at one point, because I just thought, okay, I'm kind of just stood here, and I kind of forced myself into a conversation. It wasn't in a rude way. I kind of like gauged, like, there's an opportunity for me to jump in, and I jumped into the conversation, and I sat there and ended up actually learning a lot. So seek out opportunities whilst you're networking as well. Obviously, don't be rude. Sort of read the room first and then see if you can jump in. But definitely network. I think it's huge. I mean, I get called networking queen at the brunch because I enjoy it so much. But don't get me wrong, I am quite nervous when I do go, but I enjoy it. I like speaking to new people, learning new things. And like you said, speak to different people that are different in different parts of the business. That's something that I enjoy doing. I love hearing everyone's story, because we all start off as the same. We all start off as trainees or interns, then we sort of move up. So I love hearing people's stories and how did you get to where you are now? Give me some tips and tricks, and it always helps out. And even later on when you're going for promotions and stuff, and you can always reach out to these people because they've been through it. So yeah, it's definitely something that I would definitely push.
Great point, Sidra. Thank you. That's something I'm still trying to learn, is how do I interject into a conversation and not be too abrupt? I could sort of loiter on the outside of a circle, and when there's a silence, sort of, I didn't think to that. So maybe I need to get some tips from you on how do I engage in a conversation without interrupting somebody, because I'm still trying to get that. But But yeah, thank you, Sidra. You've been involved in so much as well, and it's obviously it's great to see how much your confidence has grown since being involved in a lot of the networking events that we do. And as I mentioned, this is not just enterprise. This is every company, every university will offer some sort of networking opportunity, as I said, whether that be virtual or in person. So you can apply those tips to anywhere. Perfect. Thank you so much. We're making great time. So we're moving on to what I think might be our second or third last subject, which is how to dress for success, but on a budget. It can be very difficult. As I've got older, I spend a lot less money on clothes, which my mum will be very happy with. She always used to shout at me when I lived at home and the parcels used to be arriving every day. So we've got a couple of tips that are really going to help you to get ready for your first graduate job, but in a way that isn't going to break the bank. So a couple of tips here. First things first, charity shops. Honestly, I've really got into buying clothes from charity shops over the past couple of years, and you'd be surprised how many amazing pieces you can find in your local charity shops. I swear some people just buy things for the sake of donating them a week later with the tag still on. I've got some great work suits and, smart dresses and stuff from charity shops. So make a day of it, go out with your friend, your parent, whoever, and, have a fun day having a look through the charity shops, dedicate some time to it. And you will definitely, I can guarantee you'll definitely find some really great finds. Second thing, something that is really becoming quite a trend at the moment recently, if you've seen on social media, is a capsule wardrobe. So rather than just buying pieces because you like them, you buy pieces because they fit in with the clothes that you already currently have. So maybe you don't buy as many wacky coloured blouses or, brightly coloured skirts and trousers because it would mean having to buy something else to go with that item. Whereas the purpose of a capsule wardrobe is you have sort of 15, 20 interchangeable pieces that all go with each other. I sound a bit like a fashion influencer right now. They all go with each other. And again, it means that you can have a variety of different outfits, whether they be casual, suitable for a work from home day, suitable for an event, a networking event, or just a standard day in the office. These wardrobes are built, again, to be cost effective, but maximizing what it is you get out of what you're buying. Number 3, I'm bad at this. I should take my own advice. Avoid trend buying. I can see Jackie nodding. Maybe she's a bit of a trend buyer as well. Just because something is in fashion for the week doesn't mean you have to go and break the bank and buy everything. I remember when leopard print, although it is coming back in, but I remember when leopard print was a thing and I had leopard print everything. Trousers, shoes, bags, tops, you name it. Full head to toe leopard. Do I wear any of those clothes now? Absolutely not. But do I wear the smart pair of black trousers I got from M&S 3 years ago? Yes, I do. So try and avoid those trend buying items. Number 4, spring clean your wardrobe. And this sort of goes hand in hand with the next point about selling unused items and reinvesting. There's so many great apps out there now, like Vinted, eBay. There's more, but they've gone out of my mind. But have a chance, not only just once a year in the spring, but, regularly have a look at your wardrobe. I tend to think if something doesn't spark joy, or if I've not worn it in a year or a season, try and get rid of it, sell it on or donate it, and use any profits that you get from selling things on to then reinvest that into, again, more of that capsule wardrobe. And finally, not every employer will offer this, so please make sure to just use this at your discretion, but some employers will offer working wardrobe vouchers, which is a certain amount of money that you get to buy things for your work. So at Enterprise, we have where in the first year, you can get £300 worth of M&S or Next vouchers, but you only pay back, I think, £250, and that just comes out in increments out of your pay. So it gives you the opportunity to get a really good amount of money in there for you to get some really good pieces that are going to last you a long time, that are suitable for work, and you're not having to take that all out at once. So just ask your employer if that is something that they potentially offer, or even they might just offer some discounts depending on who it is that you're working for. So just make sure, again, to ask those questions to your employer. I'm just going to open the floor now to both Jackie and Sidra. Any tips on how to dress for success on a budget? Jackie, you're always very glamorous. Give us some tips.
Well, actually, I'm going to represent the university piece here as well, actually. cost of living crisis is massive for so many students these days. Maintenance loans haven't gone up in line with cost of living. So a lot of universities now have funds that are there to support you when you are going for interviews and then also when you secure graduate jobs. So at Northumbria University, we have a pot which is specifically for that. It's called the Employability Learning Fund, and other universities will have an equivalent. And if you've got an opportunity to go to a graduate to an interview for a graduate job, but you haven't got the appropriate clothing, reach out to your careers service, ask them if they've got any support. And actually, it's a really big education piece for us because a lot of our students aren't aware that they can get money towards paying for the cost of their suits for interviews. And then when they've secured jobs, there's potentially money again for them to be given enough money to buy a working wardrobe. So that's a really, really important one. And it covers things like travel costs. If your potential recruiter employer doesn't cover the costs of things like travel expenses, then you can, seek that from the university as well. So, check through your university first of all whether or not they can support you with interview clothes and then ultimately, jobs clothes for when you start your graduate job. But also, if you just even Google, so there's a company, it is for women. There is a man's one as well, so I will tell you that. But there's SmartWorks, which is a national nationwide charity. And SmartWorks is a charity which exists to help women secure employment. So, if you kind of even just put into your Google engines interview clothing support, you will find that there will be search engines that will bring up things. SmartWorks Newcastle is a great example. So they'll have a whole wardrobe. They have brilliant personal stylists. They'll, make an appointment with you. They'll talk to you about what suits you, and they'll offer you interview skills advice as well. And then often, if you're successful in getting the job, you can go back to them and they'll get you a couple of outfits for when you start. So, there are options out there to support you. We know that it's expensive to buy work wardrobes, especially when you've not had to have that, potentially formal attire through your life as a student, but also supermarket clothes as well. I absolutely love, what you can find in supermarkets. Um, your fast fashion used to be really slated, but I think a lot of the supermarkets are very ethical now in the way that they trade. So you don't have to, spend a fortune. You don't have to go, even things like Next and Marks and Spencer's can seem price prohibitive. All of the supermarkets have good clothing brands now, and it's good quality things that you can buy. So yeah, be creative. Think about the vintage, the Facebook marketplaces. If there's boot fairs and things, I think this kind of vintage dress is a lot more current now. So yeah, and do the same if you've kind of acquired some clothes through charity shops. Look in what your wardrobe, work out what you can give back, and give you an opportunity to cleanse your wardrobe. But yes, I think there's lots of support through universities as well. So don't not explore that as an option as well.
That's a great point, Jackie. I've never heard of SmartWorks before. Is SmartWorks, is that what you said it was called?
Yeah, I'll drop a little
Incredible.
link in the chat because they are incredible. And actually, I did say there was a men's in Newcastle. There is a men's equivalent which is called Suitability as well, and that is about providing free suits to men that go to interview. So yeah, I'll drop a couple of links in the chat if that would be helpful.
Yeah, that would be great, Jackie. Thank you. I think that's excellent. I've never heard of that before. So I think a lot of people on the call will probably benefit from that. Thank you. And Sidra, how have you managed to dress for success on a budget over the last year?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty gonna sound pretty boring, but I reckon I have about 4 or 5 outfits. Like, so I have like a summer wardrobe and a winter wardrobe, and I'll have about 4 or 5 sort of like 5 shirts or 5 dresses and 5 pairs of trousers, and I'll just rotate. And people are probably sick of seeing me in the same outfit, but I'll just rotate because as long as and I know this might sound a bit weird, but as long as your clothes are clean, there's nothing wrong with you repeating an outfit. I know some people are a bit funny about it, like one of my close friends, and I know she won't mind me saying this, but she'd buy a new top every day. She used to work in city centre, so she'd buy a new top every single day for work. And how is this affecting your bank account? And I was like, you need to repeat a top, please. I'm begging you to just wear the same top just twice, because she would buy a new top every single day. So there's nothing wrong with repeating outfits. I always do it, and yeah, do what works for you. For myself, I know MS is a little bit pricey, but I like to buy like a good few strong trousers because the material and the sort of quality is really good. So I get a few sort of good pairs of trousers, a few good shirts, blouses, and just switch around. And I know it's a lot easier for men, to be fair. They get like 5 pairs of different trousers, 5 pairs of different shirts, and they're just switching around. Yeah.
It's so much easier than
Definitely.
all of the outfits we have to get. But I think your friend needs my lesson on a capsule wardrobe. So
Yeah.
send her my way, and I'll influence her on how to build that capsule wardrobe. I'll do it as a side hustle for now.
Yeah. Oh, when she first told me, I was baffled. I was like, no. I was like, no. I was like, you can't do this. As your friend, I have to intervene.
Need an intervention. But thank you both, some really great points there. And again, thanks Jackie for that link to SmartWorks, because
I'm not sure if everyone can see it. I'm not sure, so I'll
if
just
not,
ask
I'll
Stephen in the background to see if that can be dropped in for everyone to be able to see.
Thanks, Jackie. We've got 10 minutes left. I know we've got some questions. We've still got 2 little sections to go over. So with this next section, I'm not going to focus on it too much because it is very employer specific. But what I will do is I'm just going to pop these acronyms on the screen. So you'll find that a lot of businesses will have some acronyms, and mainly we've chosen these ones because these are the ones that tend to appear the most. So if you want to take a little print screen or a picture of this just to go away and make sure that you memorize these acronyms. But an acronym is really just a shortened version of a word that helps you to remember what these phrases are. So for example, they're B2B, business to business, B2C, business to customer, YTD, year to date. So again, you will find that you'll familiarize yourself with whatever acronyms it is that you are presented with as it goes on, and that is why we keep mentioning it. But a notepad is so important. You know, you might hear someone, you might say, oh, what does KPI mean? Oh, right, okay, key performance indicator. I'm just going to write that in my notepad and remember it. And the more that you use that, the more that you'll get used to it. We have so many acronyms at Enterprise, and I can still remember all of the acronyms that I remember from my operations days now, because they are now ingrained into my brain. So don't worry, a lot of the acronyms that you do learn, it'll take a little bit of a while to go in, but just make sure again that you have that notepad. So I'm hoping that everyone here had a little print screen or a photo of that, just so you can have a little look at some of those. I do want to focus just the next sort of couple of minutes on ongoing professional development, and then we will cover any questions in the chat. So we may run over a couple of minutes, but I'll try and keep to time as much as possible. This is something that I'm super passionate about, and actually we've got a question from somebody in the Q&A box about personal professional development, so I hope that this answers your question as well. But this is something that I think you should start doing before you even have your first graduate job. It's all about goal setting and looking at what it is that you want to achieve in the next 6 months to a year to 3, 5, 10 years. It's very much about what can you do to make sure that you are developing yourself in a professional way that is really going to help you in your long-term growth. So you've got a couple of tips here. So the first one is seek out learning opportunities. So that might be shadowing a different department, organising insight calls with different teams, attending all mandatory and optional training classes. Again, every employer will offer different opportunities here, but just make sure that you are getting involved with as much as you can in terms of seeking out those learning opportunities. This kind of goes a little bit into number 3, use your network, but I've got 4 or 5, I think it's 5 now, mentees who are all interested in different departments. So because of their mentorship with me, I've organised them to have insight days in that department so they can get more, again, of an insight into what it is that department does. Can they see themselves there, network with people that work in that department? So 1 and 3 kind of go together, is seek out those opportunities, but also use that professional network that we were talking about previously to really help maximize those opportunities. Number 2 is to create a professional development planner. And I think this one might answer the question that we have from Vanessa in the Q&A about how to be in charge of your own personal and professional development. If you haven't got a PDP, you can just Google PDP templates and a lot of great one comes up. I just have my own one on Excel, but essentially it's a way of monitoring your development over a set time period. So for example, we have different competencies that we're assessed against at work. So my Excel spreadsheet I've got all the competencies down the left, and then I sort of monitor myself on a monthly basis as to what I've done to help contribute to those competencies over that past month. So that then helps me to keep on top of my professional development, but also set those goals that's going to help me to then develop those skills even further. So you can just type in professional development planner on Google and you should get some really good templates on there. Number 3, we've spoke about that a lot, but number 4 is to seek out a mentor. It might be a formal mentor provided to you through work, or again, it might be somebody that you've met at a networking event or through LinkedIn. Asking for support from other people that are in a similar position or have done really well in their career is a great opportunity for you to learn from them as well. And number 5, as we've said, it's an opportunity for you to discuss your goals. That can be short-term, long-term. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? That kind of thing. So I hope that answered your question in the chat there as well, Vanessa. But Sidra, I want to come to you. Obviously, with Enterprise, we've got sort of like a graduate scheme that you go through, but what have you done personally to help your professional development throughout your grad scheme?
I mean, with Enterprise, we're constantly sort of having one-to-ones with branch managers, area managers. I also do have a mentor, so going on meetings with him. You know, he's always there for me. You know, what questions do you have? How do you want to get to your end goal? Using your network as well, because if you speak to people, you can kind of gauge, okay, this is where I want to get to. They've already got that role. How do I get there? And discuss your goals, speak to people around you, say, okay, this is what I want to get to, and they'll always be able to give you like a sort of roadmap. Something, actually, to be fair, I got it, I'm not sure if you got yours at the last Women in Rental event. We had a little postcard and it said, what are your goals? Or what do you want to do the next, I think, a couple of months? And we filled it out and then it comes to you like a few months later. And I actually got mine the other day and I realised I actually got one of the goals, which was passing my MQI, which was on there, and I hadn't passed it at that point. And I've passed it now, which I was so happy with. So set goals for yourself as well, write them down, set a bit, not an exact time frame, because obviously you can't control certain things, but have a rough sort of time frame. Okay, I want to reach goals by this sort of time. But yeah, and don't put pressure on yourself. Don't put pressure on yourself, because that's the worst thing you could do. Be calm and be nice to yourself is what I say. But yeah.
Great point, Sidra. Thank you. Jackie, anything to add on professional development?
Just a really quick one because I'm conscious of time. So, you know, we might have quite a large number of the audience that haven't actually secured employment yet. So in terms of continuing to focus on it, you'll be surprised how many online resources you've got now. So if you know, for example, that marketing is where you want to be, you can access online courses that are free. So, you know, if you've got an idea of what you might want to do, then, you know, empower yourself to do some online courses. I say that you'll find all sorts of free opportunities out there. You know, it might be an online 20-hour module that you need to do. It might be something shorter than that, something longer. So yeah, just you know, Google can be your best friend in terms of identifying things that will keep you current. So once you've graduated, you know, continue if you haven't got a job to reach out to those careers professionals at your university, you know, attend workshops. Northumbria won't be the only one that will, you know, be keen to make sure they keep in touch. And you mentioned right at the start, Louise, alumni associations. So when you graduate, join your alumni association because that's your way of maintaining your network with your cohort and hearing from people that are a stage ahead of you in their career and might be door openers as well. So yeah, don't take just because you've come to the end of your higher education journey, your learning isn't stopping. And even if you're going into a workplace, your learning isn't stopping. So you might not be given a mentor, you might be given a buddy, or you might have, yes, you say someone from a webinar you've attended or a networking event that you've been to. Be bold, you know, be a little bit brave and just say, I'd love it if you could actually connect with me so that I can, you know, touch base with you every so often, find out how I'm getting on. But yeah, the world is your oyster. You think about the journey you've been on from when you were a school leaver, starting university. You went through a lot of those similar things that you're going to go through. It'll just be in a workplace rather than adjoining higher education institution. So you'll continue to evolve and you'll fly.
Thank you so much, Jackie. A really nice closing comment there. Thank you so much. And as that brings us to the end of the content, I just want to pop this on the screen because we've got quite a few chat questions and Q&A questions relating to sort of CV requirements of job descriptions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this on here because we actually have a lot of content out there already on our website blog. We have our YouTube channel dedicated to videos about CVs, applying for jobs, interviewing, that kind of thing. So please make sure to go ahead and check out those to answer those questions, just because obviously I'm aware that we've run out of time, but those questions, we've already answered them in previous webinars that we've done. So we've got a really great resource there. So please go ahead and look at that. And I'm just going to ask, if possible, if Stephen, if you can pop my LinkedIn profile in the chat. And if anyone has a direct question that they didn't get answered today that they would like to ask, please do just shoot me that message across in a LinkedIn DM, and I will get back to that straight away because I'm aware of time. But I hope that everybody watching found today useful and that you learned some great tips, and good luck to anyone who is going on their first graduate job. Jackie's got her hand up very patiently.
I'll also drop my LinkedIn profile. I'm very happy for if anyone wants to connect with me, ask any questions. Yeah, I'm more than happy for people to reach out and connect.
Thanks, Jackie. That was very polite. That wasn't like me trying to interject at a networking event. So thank you very much. And thank you to our wonderful panel for providing such great insights today. The insights that you've had have really been invaluable. And I think that those listening will really have benefited from that. So there's a plane flying right above me, which is great time for me to end this webinar because I'm going to get some feedback. So thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. And thank you again, Sidra and Jackie, for all of your input. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Good luck, everyone. Thank you.